Hi, Geekscapists. Welcome to a brand new Geekscape podcast. I'm Jonathan London, your host. And if this is your first Geekscape, well, strap yourselves in for some movies, video games, comic books, all that pop culture talk that we've been delivering to you over the last 15 years in podcast form. And for the last year, this streaming form. Quick question for those of you who watch or listen. I don't know if you get it through the podcast or you get it video, but let me know, Jonathan at geekscape.net, how you want us to continue now that things are tentatively opening back up. Do you want the streaming to continue? I like the live interaction with all of you. Or do you just want it to go back to the classic podcast roots that it's been a part of, that have been a part of the show since the beginning? One thing that I do want to do, and I don't think longtime listeners are any stranger to this, but over the last year, I've been saying that I think I want to integrate some form of live component into the show, maybe monthly, where Katie and I take the show to the stage, and maybe even if it's a small stage here in Los Angeles, do a live component of the show once a month for all of you who are local, and obviously stream it for those of you who are not. So it's a lot to kind of tackle. We have a lot of things going on behind the scenes here at Geekscape. Matt Kelly is aggressively trying to expand your Geekscape offerings, which is just like, I have a level of guilt with when it comes to Matt, and he'll be on the show later here in a bit. Maybe he can talk about it, but he's so enthused about growing this experience out for y'all, whether it be the YouTube or the Twitch or the podcast network. And there's like only so much I can keep up with, as you see, if you've been listening on the subscription. I missed the last 2 weeks. I went to Austin, and then when I came back, I was editing like 30 hours worth of content that went up for a client over the weekend. And I think things went well. My job was done after I handed it in, but I was very, very fried. And because of the editing deadline, I wanted to do an episode, but I couldn't. So you're getting an episode now. We've got Katie and Derek coming up in addition to Matt. It's going to be great. But I honestly don't have anything prepared here for the beginning, because this weekend was such a roller coaster ride. We had this professional gig on a professional level. Things have been well for me, and on a Geekscape level, I told you Matt's enthusiasm and everything. We're trying to be a little aggressive as we go into the summer and don't have a Comic-Con to build around. What are the things that we can do to include the rest of the podcast network, to give y'all more offerings in all our different channels? What are some of those things? If there's something cool that you want to see, definitely email me and we'll talk about it. But in the midst of all this, the wind really got taken out of our sails when Saturday we looked up, and our good friend Sarah Goodwin, who's been a Geekscapist from before there was Geekscape, back in the Geek Drum days, said that her husband Chris Ellis, who is a longtime Geekscape from around the same time, I mean, he's a Geek Drum listener, he was in a hospital, and he was at the UCLA hospital, and he was not going to come out of it. That was a major shock. I read that news on Saturday, and I texted Sarah and I asked her if there was anything I could do. I offered to come and see Chris on Wednesday of this week and maybe spell her for a bit, because she was by his bedside and there was only one person allowed in the room because of COVID protocols at a time. And I said, great, I'll come visit Chris and maybe you can step out. Maybe I can bring you lunch. And it was something I was looking forward to do. It was something I was looking forward to doing on Wednesday, but Sunday morning there was news that Chris had actually passed away. Saturday, I definitely broke down right here in this chair that you're watching me in. I broke down in my office just thinking about it. I had not seen Chris since before the pandemic. He and Sarah had come to one of the more recent Geekscape picnics, and I didn't know that he was in bad health. I didn't know what he was battling. We had become estranged. I attended Chris and Sarah's wedding in 2015 with Gilmore and Ben Dunn, Will Kistler, who we all met through this community that we started. Will Kistler, he was ordained to officiate the wedding, and when I heard that Chris was in the hospital, I immediately just thought about that day in June 2015, where we all went to Simi Valley to see them get married. And I was a Laura at the time. It was a 3D themed wedding. We all had 3D glasses. There's a pretty wonderful picture of everyone in attendance wearing 3D glasses, gathered around Chris and Sarah. And all I could think seeing those photos was like happier times, but also that there was possibly things going on under the surface that we just don't know about. I was in a state of internal flux. Y'all have seen me over the last 5 years blow up my life and put it back together. Many of y'all have been a big part of that, helping me. And I guess Chris was battling things as well. Chris and Sarah both were. And Chris's health was in decline. He had been in the hospital since March. And if there's one thing that Sarah was really asking for this week, and we were going to fulfill that request in the near future, was donate blood. The one thing she said that we could all do to help was donate blood. The hospital was in short supply. It was something that would help ease Chris's pain or extend his ability to be visited. So especially in the wake of the major parts of the COVID crisis, a lot of our hospitals, a lot of our health systems are lacking in blood. So in the near future, Matt and I and everybody else here at Geekscape are going to organize a blood drive. We're probably going to do a big annoying stream about it. We're definitely going to do a multi-platform promotion about it. You won't be able to escape it, but we're going to do a blood drive. Really prepare for that. Be ready to donate blood. Be ready to be a part of it. Be ready to get family members and friends to be a part of it. And remember to do it in Chris's name, because he was absolutely a Geekscapist. And even though I had not seen him since before the pandemic, even though, you know, one of the last memories to really spending time with Chris was that day in Simi Valley where he and Chris got married, I just remember during the ceremony seeing how many of the Geekscape audience was in attendance and were friends, and Laura, my ex-wife, turning to me and say, like, this has to be messing with you to see all these people together because of you. And it, I mean, shit, like, it messed with me. It was it's hard. Like, it's, you know, I try not to take pride in too many things, but like, it was hard for me not to take pride in the fact that, like, this beautiful moment was happening, and it all started with this little spark that I lit, and that y'all carried and continue to carry. And that's what this is about. And as wonderful as it is when we have these successes, when we see, you know, I'm just gonna say, like, I love that Matt has become reinvigorated with the network and gone off and done successful things. We cheer when people like Eric Francisco go and get a job and succeed, or William Bibiani, or just the multiple Geekscapists who have called this their home and have gone off to have successful lives with us or without us. As wonderful as it is, every time there's a success from our community, it's really hard when there is a loss, when there's a goodbye. And Chris was brilliant. He was hilarious. He was a major geek. He was always there for the LA based Geekscape events. And I mean, shit, I'm sad that I didn't get a chance to really say goodbye to him in person on Wednesday. I was like getting myself ready to go and see how he was doing in the hospital. And it just didn't happen. Chris said goodbye, and that was it. And if you're listening, Chris, we love you. And if you'll keep listening, we'll keep talking to you, because Geekscape forever. And I'm not going to break down here on the show. I broke down pretty hard on Saturday. But I think of all of you as this family that we built, and losing a family member is hard. And Chris is no exception. He was wonderful and beautiful. And he's pain-free now. So go, yeah, that's about what I have to say. It was not prepared. But that's kind of how loss works sometimes. You don't always prepare for it or get the ability to prepare for it. Welcome to Geekscape. Let's talk about some pop culture. Let's do some of the things that Chris was into and talk pop culture, talk some geekdom, and get on with it, shall we? Chris, why don't you co-host this one with us for a bit? I love you, man. And from everybody here at Geekscape, we love you and we're going to miss you, but we know you're still with us. Matt Kelly is here with me. He runs the Geekscape podcast network. And I don't know, Matt, like that fucked me up, dude. And you were on a text exchange with Gilmore, Ben Dunn, and I from Saturday on.
It was weird because like I remember Chris from the forums, which was at a point that was all Geekscape was, right? You know what I mean? Like it was
the podcast and forums. That was it.
And I know that I met him a handful of times through Will Kistler because I used to go to his movie nights that when I lived out in LA.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember Sarah extremely well because I know that Sarah was always extremely active on the forums as well. So that was just sideswiped me and was heartbroken. But I want to jump on something that you mentioned before we got even deeper, is that you were saying like, hey, first of all, yes, I've got some ideas already on what we're gonna do for this live stream blood drive thing. So no, nothing can. But you were talking about like how you brought all these people together, and like I know that it's kind of the joke that like without you in Geekscape I'd just be like a homeless guy like just eating rats and living in a box, but like that's not too far from the truth. Not necessarily like the homeless living in a box, but like I can't think of very many things that I'm doing in my life right now that are bringing me joy that don't extend from Geekscape first. Like it was such a jumping point for everything. When all these big companies came and literally took every single writer except for me from from the website.
Remember when I wrote the April Fool's story that Nerdist had bought us? And then the next week I had a meeting at Nerdist and they were all saying, welcome to the family. And Nerdist had fallen for the joke that they had bought us.
Yeah, they took everybody else. Why not just take us?
Every week they were taking another one of our writers, and I was like, yes, go get paid.
Except for me.
Just leave me, Matt Kelly. Leave me. I mean, honestly, Matt, like, I just knew that I do not find you dispensable.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm also a terrible writer. That may have been a big factor in it.
I sent them some samples of your work, and I was like, hey, what do you think about this guy? Knowing it was a poison pill.
There's certain people, they're not good writers, but they're good idea men. You know what I mean? I feel like
there are people here either.
Yeah, and that's me. I fall in that category. No, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. And it's tough sometimes. I was talking to a friend about this the other day because, I obviously my memories of Chris are very small, but like I also care about you and I care about Ben and I care about Gilmore and being on that text chat and seeing the sadness in there. It's impossible not to like feel that simultaneously. I literally on Sunday morning was all stressed out and I went on a walk to clear my head, and then I got the text message letting me know that Chris had died, and I was just like, man, so much for this walk to clear my head. Like it was just like right there in front of me as I started the walk. Like it's just, it was like you said earlier, it's the elephant in the room that we couldn't not start this without addressing it. The hard part now is trying to figure out how to maneuver this into dick and fart jokes like we normally do this.
I've been doing this for longer than 15 years. I think I can do that, but ultimately I just want to say that like the one thing that we do well is that we stick together, and that's always been true. So what we'll do is we'll organize a blood drive. Those are Sarah's wishes. Those are the things that will help people in Chris's situation. And so we're going to organize this blood drive, and we're going to try to do it across the country, and anywhere Geekscapists is listening, or exposed to, well, the stuff that, your far reach. And we'll just try and make a little noise and do a little good. And if we're not happy with it, we'll do it again and again and again and again, because it's just, that's what we built this thing for. We built this thing to do good and to make change, and not just talk about comics, video games, and movies, but we sometimes do that too. Let me see if Derek has anything to add on this one. Were you meditating, Derek? Did we wake you up, pal?
Oh, I'm here. I'm listening. I think that was really beautiful. I love the idea of this blood drive. I didn't know Chris super well. I remember him a little bit from the forums, but the forums were so long ago, they're hard for me to even remember at this point.
Yeah, it's all Facebook now. It's all kind of on our
it's
Facebook
crazy how much that stuff has shifted. I'm also really glad that Matt never left us. And as tough as it was to sometimes edit the work that he was doing, and sometimes it was really hard.
What language is this?
Google
Translate. Just copy and paste into Google Translate, and then the internet crashes.
As tough as that job could be sometimes to edit Matt's work, he's one of the people I care about the most in my life, I feel like, and the fact that you're still around just makes me so happy, and to see the things that you've done and the 100 podcasts that you've brought over to us.
Working on bringing 2
right?
more.
Yeah, it's
is that true, Matt? Of course it's true. I don't even have to ask you. Of course that's true.
I was texting someone today about their show, so they might be joining us in a few months.
You know what? I mean, listen, I can't be like, let's keep the light on for people and let's make a home for them, and then be like, but not you, geek. You know what I mean? Like that's what we built this thing for. And as people come in the door, people are gonna leave too. And I think that was what was so hard yesterday, was realizing that, like, I'd literally spent 24 hours stealing myself up to go visit Chris in the hospital bed, and it was pretty much a shock to realize I didn't have to anymore. And I wanted to see him. I wanted to say goodbye, as difficult as it would have been.
I think that's really, more than anything, whether you knew Chris like you did, or met Chris once like I did, or only really knew Chris from the forums like Derek. If Sunday taught me anything, it's definitely like, if you've got those people in your life that you just kind of lost touch with, and you feel like it would be awkward to just reach out to them after all these years, it's going to be a hell of a lot awkward if the only time you reach out to them is their final goodbye. You know what I mean? Like, it's worth making that effort to just check in on someone. Just say, hey, how you doing? I know we haven't talked in a while. I hope everything's all right. I know when I get those text messages, it always makes my day. You can't have a bad day when someone's checking in on you. It's impossible.
I definitely felt the level of guilt in reaching out to Sarah and seeing if there was anything she needed after the fact. And, but Sarah's great. And she said, yes, organize a blood drive. And that's what we're going to do. And we'll continue communication. And like I said, it allowed us to talk to Gilmore and Ben, people who've been a little estranged from Geekscape, but they're always part of it. So thank you for continuing to work to grow it, Matt, and everybody listening and sharing it with your friends if this is what you're into, or maybe you listen to some of our other shows and that's what you're into as well, and you share those shows. But just, we're not going away, and we're working on quite a few projects behind the scenes that will hopefully help spread the love in other arenas.
Make sure to, while we're talking about things growing, if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing to the Twitch and YouTube, because I think possibly come August there might be a lot more things happening on there. Don't
threaten people.
Oh, I'm threatening.
Don't threaten people.
I got some ideas. That's all we'll say.
Big Yanks is on the YouTube, and he says, I'll build you a stage in my backyard. You can come do Geekscape here. Listen, it's not just me, pal. I got to involve Katie in that. We got Katie Alcester, my co-host, and the Geeks Queen. I think she's the queen.
Geeks Queen?
Yeah, you're the Geek Queen, the Geeks Queen.
I like Squeen. It's like
the Squeen?
cutesy queen.
All right. Queenscape. This is hard to say. Katie,
We're going
how
with
are
it.
you? You kind of watched us all kind of mourn the last
No, and
48 hours.
I think it's something that's really beautiful that like I feel, so outside, but like so appreciative of this group because everyone is so close and is so familial. I think it's a beautiful thing because, yeah, we talk about dicks and farts and all of that, bringing it back. But comics, but like, what is it that we've like learned from like the stuff that we've consumed or we talk about all the time? And it's just that like, we're all a part of this. Like we're all a unit together. And like, I think that's one of the things that I take so much from these stories, these video games, all of these things is that like all of us are connected so deeply. And when one of us falls off the path or, we don't get to see them anymore, that hits so hard. And I think it's so beautiful. I cannot wait to give blood. I've been so reticent to give blood because of COVID and everything. And I usually give blood very frequently. And I feel like a total piece of shit for not giving blood. And I'm like, maybe I could have saved someone. I am O negative, so superhero blood. So
you got the superhero suit, like the super soldier serum. Okay.
I do. Super soldier serum is in my veins.
I just remember building, like the one thing I would say early in the years of Geekscape, in the early years, I would say I want to build something that survives me stepping off the wrong sidewalk. You know what I mean? Like getting hit by a bus. Like let's build something that survives me. And I think that we're well in on that. I think that like, Matt and Derek know where all the passwords are. Like everybody kind of knows where everything is. Like
I figure them out.
Well, just go for it.
Or
you'll figure it out. Like y'all have my partner George Callert's phone number, like y'all figure it out.
Well, and to bounce off of something Katie said about what we've built here at Geekscape, as I'm like scouting for these different shows or creating these different shows, like I think what makes almost every single show on Geekscape so interesting and so unique is, like you said, that personality in it. Like there's a million podcasts where people sit and talk about a bad horror movie, you know what I mean? But like horror movie night, you don't really have to know any of the movies we're watching to listen because it's all about it's all about like the tangents and the nonsense that like it's where the conversation goes from that starting point. And that's what I've really tried to make all of the shows is like Christmas 365. We barely talk about Christmas half the time. We did it. We literally just recorded an episode before now on the Lego Star Wars holiday special that dropped on Disney Plus. We talked about it for 5 minutes. The rest was us arguing over what the proper rankings of the Star Wars movies are. Like, it's like, like it's stuff like that where you just have to use the topic as a starting point. And I hear it in Xbox Game Passengers. I hear it in Geekscape Games. I hear it in Binge Town. I hear it on Femme Regard. I hear it on all of these different shows that we've thrown in there. 91 Donkey Lane is its own beast.
Will always be just insanity.
If you want to talk about tangents,
but it's here's the starting point. Where does our own personal lives take us on that topic?
So I have some feedback because I listened to the One Hit Thunder and I was crying at the episode talking about Patrick Swayze's She's Like the Wind. That episode was phenomenal. Then I listened to Geekscape Games, Derek. And I got to tell you, I was also crying at the story of Shane trying to fix his graphics card.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Because he had spoozed all over it in order to get it to go faster and sink the thing.
I mean,
it would run Forza, and he's just doing all the wrong things.
Yeah.
He reveals that he's living in a warehouse or a airplane hangar with his dad, and then the episode just gets worse when Carlos Lopez rips off a fucking little kid for Pokemon cards.
And he's the cause of Target is no longer selling Pokemon cards in stores, and I'm pretty sure he's why.
It's because of
I'm
Carlos.
pretty sure
I'm listening to this story horrified. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, download the episode because I'm not doing it justice. But he basically goes into a Dwayne Reed or something and sees that there are a full box of Pokemon cards behind the counter. He gets the poor old lady who works there to sell it to him, even though there's a little kid behind him who had his eyes on just getting one pack. He buys the freaking thing, the whole box, and then he waits for the little kid in the parking lot to sell it to him at an uptick.
double the price.
Dude, it was
Double the price.
horrifying. I'm
Yeah.
listening to this being like, please be better. Please be better. Please be better. And sure enough, nope. Carlos goes ahead and sells it to the little kid.
I got to start hanging around some better people, I think.
Oh, it was so shades. And then Carlos goes back in the store, and I stopped feeling so bad for the kid because there was another box the kid just didn't see, and he could just purchase. I mean, the whole thing it was a horror show.
Yeah.
Listening to that episode.
My main feedback for Shane would be the next time you decide to destroy your graphics card and cause, a 3 weeks with no computer, like, don't do it when you're supposed to be recording an episode of my podcast because, you don't have an Xbox. You now don't have a computer. You now can't play the game that we're supposed to record an episode about in like 3 days. And, now we got to push it further down the road. Like, the day after the podcast, as soon as we finish the podcast, just shut it down and start working on it. But maybe plan things a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, you hang out with real scumbags with that. It's
Dude,
like,
you know what? In their defense, Bolt T just busted out on the Twitch and said, "Why do you hate free markets? That's the plan to man, baby." Yeah,
he's Bolt T2 now. What happened to Bolt T1?
I think Bolt T pulled a little Katie Elsesser and got himself blocked off of Twitch and had to make a new ID.
Show your dinger. Show your dinger.
Yeah. Katie, how come you have a different ID on Twitch? Oh, right. Yeah,
luckily, it's not on Twitch. It's just on TikTok.
Oh, it's on TikTok.
It's not confusing for anybody. Everybody's got it all.
Katie fucked around and found out on TikTok.
I found out. And let me tell you, they don't go hard on everyone. They're just on me. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's fair. But also, I kind of want my name back. It's okay. Z is good too.
While we're speaking about building, Matt usually has a very active background of VHS tapes and horror movie toys and stuff like that.
Where are you broadcasting from?
Same spot as always.
Your closet?
Did you get robbed? What's happening?
I bought a house and I'm moving.
That's right, because nobody can officially rob you within 2 months because of all these stuff.
Yeah. Now, I'm all next week. I'll be moving everything in and building a studio. But got on the phone with, we already gave him a shout out once, but I'll give him a second one. Robert Bacon from 91 Donkey Lane. And he literally was like, all right, you're going to need this cable. You're going to need this adapter. You're going to need this thing. So we're going to have a nice little studio with remote control LED lights all over the walls.
Okay.
I got a ring light.
We're going to call that studio Geekscape East.
Yeah. We got, dude.
No offense to Big Yanks' stage in his backyard. I think Matt Kelly's going to have Geekscape East out of Philly.
The best thing that he tipped me off on, and this is going to be a game changer. And again, go and subscribe to the Twitch. I have plans. Okay. But he got me an adapter that I can hook the actual Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis consoles to, as well as a VCR. So that I can Twitch people watching old VHS tapes with me. So
I'm coming to Philly. We're gonna get some Wawa and we're gonna watch some bullshit.
Yeah, we're gonna gauntlet it with some Wawa iced tea.
We're gonna get five movies.
And
I'm gonna need you to get one of those VHS murder mystery party type things and play that.
So I'll tell you.
Hold up, Katie. Speaking of backdrops, you have an entire little village behind you. For those of you listening,
I was referring to. I wanted to know what was going on there.
The Geekscape is on the podcast feed. Katie doesn't have her typical backdrop right now. She's broadcasting out of her living room, and there's a little Santa village going on in the background, or something. So, what is that?
This is actually the room that I always broadcast out of. I'm just usually on the other, I usually am against the wall because I'm running games and things like that all during the day. I switched around some stuff, but this is actually our game room, and that's just some of our Legos. Those are Lego villages back there.
From here, it looks like the model that they zoom in on for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
I mean, it's probably that too.
It looks like your mom's version of the bottled city of Candor from Superman comics, and if you get close to it, you can hear people being like, "Free." Remy. Hey.
Did
Do
anyone else?
do you see that right there? That's actually the Ghostbusters fire station right
I see it
there.
now, yeah, yeah.
Matt,
Yeah.
I think I know what you're gonna say, and it is. Did y'all see the Lego Daily Bugle that was released today? It's a $300 Daily Bugle set. It has
Do you
like
see all the characters it came with?
it has like 29 characters, including the Punisher, who I was pretty sure Marvel was going to cancel. And this thing is $300. I would love to buy it. It goes up on sale on the 26th or 24th, and that thing's going to sell out. It's $300 for the entire Daily Bugle. It's like 7 stories of Lego.
Crazy.
Building. It looks amazing.
That wasn't what I was going to say, but that's amazing.
Matt, this thing is psychotic. It is so awesome. And it even has a spider buggy on it.
That's amazing.
Like you're gonna have like a Robbie Robertson like Lego. Why not? And it actually has shout outs to the Electric Company Spider-Man cartoons, because in one of the offices there's the framed photo of Spidey on the wall, like in the Electric Company office. In J. Jonah Jameson's office, there's a framed picture of Spidey because he hates Spider-Man, and it's insane. This $300 set is the entire Daily Bugle, and it's probably like 6 feet tall.
That's ridiculous.
Amazing.
The most money I ever spent on any was I bought the Disney castle that was like a couple thousand pieces. It was like
$1.
I was like, that's what I heard too.
No,
it
was like but it was definitely like a $300-400 purchase. But yeah, it's the full, like when you walk into Magic Kingdom Castle with like multiple rooms.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the Monkey Island special edition that I bought off of.
It's not here yet.
No, it was supposed to ship in May. We'll find out, but like Retro Games or whatever it's called,
Limited run.
Limited run put out like a $300 box.
Oh, it was super cool.
Of all the Monkey Island stuff. It comes with like a Murray skull and like all these maps, and I pretty much like threw the card down on that immediately upon it. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna sell out." It wasn't gonna sell out.
Stimulus checks are for.
Yeah, there's like 5 Monkey Island fans right now.
Let me tell you. I mean, I'm gonna bring the camera over here, but like right over there is like our Avatar collection right there that just came out, which was awesome.
What is that, Katie?
Where's Jake Sully?
For the podcast listeners, what are you describing over there? Like,
right now, they're action figures. It's Aang. It's Katara. It's
Uncle Iroh.
Uncle Iroh wasn't a part of it, no, but Toph is there. We also have Fire Lord Sozai over there.
Wait, but who put that out?
I did. I got it from Mark for his birthday, and it finally came out after like months of just being like back order.
Who put it out though? Who's the manufacturer on that stuff?
Earth something.
Entertainment Earth.
Entertainment Earth.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I had not heard that was even a thing.
Yeah, we've got amazing. A whole bunch.
Maybe
of
they can free the people from who are shrunk and held captive in your Lego city.
Yeah, it looks like my grandmother used to have these like Christmas villages. She would set up early November. That's what it looks like.
I know exactly what you're talking, and that is technically what it's inspired off of. But they're all Legos, and like there's like a little barber shop. We got down here. We got like a knight's castle and a forge. Right over there.
That's gonna be my new little thing. I'm gonna, now that I have my own house, I'm gonna start collecting Christmas Village.
As long as they're not precious moments. That's what my grandma collected. Precious moments all over her house. We're just gonna be the Lego people.
Matt, you're not the only one getting ideas. Let's see. Polar Knights on Twitch says, "I'm getting new ideas. Take the toys from the kids and make it my own."
Yeah,
make it a game room, dude.
Bold T2 says, "Now I'm curious, what is your like dream display piece collectibles that you don't get because they are too expensive?" I think that the Daily Bugle would definitely be one of the ones for me, but I've definitely seen a lot of my friends get the Unicron transformer.
Oh, that
is like
cool.
Massive, and it transforms into the planet-eating moon and all that stuff. But the Unicron is pretty impressive.
My goodness, you have a lot of stuff displayed.
Yeah. Katie is showing us Geekscape listeners a Voltron up there on that shelf.
Yep.
That's got to be solid. What's the story there?
You should just go full screen on her camera for a little bit so people can see that.
Let me see. Yeah. Oh god, the angling of this. Jesus.
Oh god, what is happening? She just went full Cloverfield on us.
There's
I'm so sorry. It is.
You're like,
all right, there's Voltron. Yeah, and then we got the Batman Superman display over there. Back there is the rules of Pixar. Goodness, that's my head.
I love that. Yeah.
I feel like my dad. Then we've got like our Star Wars stuff over there. Got a little Deadpool, all sorts of stuff. All sorts
That's
of stuff.
great.
So much
and
variety
the
as
turtles.
well.
Yes, yeah, that's our game room.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Does the rest of your house have that stuff like that displayed everywhere as well, or is it just?
Yeah, we've got like the original Star Wars posters framed up in a kitchen area. Didn't show you the. We're very into Legos here, but that's the Harry Potter train platform 9 3/4.
Oh,
And then, of
cool.
course, my prize piece, which is the Master Sword.
The Master Sword is right there. Well, you don't have a Hyrulean shield for it.
I don't, and that would be my thing. That would be my
Yeah.
collectible. That like if I just had that, I would have everything.
I remember one Comic-Con, I was gonna like one of the dealers had it for like $250. The sword and the
I
Master
think
Sword.
you were
and
like weighing that the whole weekend.
I was weighing it the whole
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
I was
How
like,
much?
that's it. Well, if that's still there on Sunday when they're dropping the prices, I'm gonna go get it. And the guy was like, I'll give it to you for $250. I was like, great. I went to check in with Matt as we were at the booth. I went back. It was gone. It was a blessing in disguise because I don't know who I was driving back to LA that weekend. It was either Matt or Derek.
I think it was me.
And there was no way it was going to fit in the car.
Yeah. I mean, I could
Was
have.
that
I would have
big?
put it on my lap for you. for sure.
The shield and sword, you would have had to have put it in you in order to transport it back to Los Angeles. It would have had to like, could you imagine like we stop in traffic and I look over and the sword is in your face?
Inhaled.
I mean, we've
Just,
had
like,
a couple
sticking-
of close calls over the years too. So.
Yeah. I can't wait to go back to Comic-Con and almost
Yeah.
kill y'all again.
I literally, Derek and I had a phone call like a week or two ago, and I was like, I do not miss San Diego Comic-Con, the convention, but my God, 2 years in a row, not just like going out to get dinner and like running around that city on scooters. I miss so much. Like that is so exciting.
Are
It's
scooters
the-
still a thing now?
Scooters
Like,
they
I
better
feel-
be.
thing.
They better still be
We
there.
see
That's
'em.
the-
We-
I
we're
feel
gonna
like I
make a
haven't
gang.
seen birds or whatever in a
Well,
long time.
So the
'Cause of
thing
COVID,
is,
probably.
if you get
Yeah,
there,
go to
for San
Ventura
Diego-
Boulevard. Like you'll see it. Trust me.
I live off of Ventura
I know.
Boulevard, and
I saw birds today. I was in Los Feliz. I saw the freaking things. But I think I got this might be too like inside information, but like I got an exhibitor letter from Comic-Con, and I think their special edition in November is back on. I can't tell. I thought it was canceled, and then they said watch this space for more news on the.
I didn't think they ever.
Thanksgiving weekend Comic-Con, and I don't know what's happening.
I didn't think they ever canceled it, but because they announced it, and then there was a lot of uproar, and then immediately they were like, I thought their like follow up to that was like, just hold on, like it's tentative,
Yeah.
it's planned, but
Sure.
obviously it all depends. It's going to be really small, and obviously it all depends on what things are looking like at that point.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm doing my first vending next month. It's,
Oh, really?
Yeah. The drive-in movie theater is doing a double feature of Critters. So I'm going there, and we made a D&D inspired Critters shirt.
Nice.
That is a 20-sided die with the Critters face on the 20, and it says roll a crit.
That's cool.
Pronounced a crite.
Whatever. But for that perfect Venn diagram of people who like D&D and also like bad Gremlins rip. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna make at least two people's
there's
day.
dozens of them.
I'm gonna sell at least 2 shirts.
Yeah.
While
Crowd
we're
will
talking
go mild
geek,
when I show up.
y'all aren't watching Jupiter's Legacy, are you?
Nope.
Not currently.
Jupiter's Legacy is pretty good, and I
Is
gotta
it?
tell you,
It sounds like it.
the criticism of Jupiter's Legacy is that what I was hearing, and I was way too busy to watch it when I was in Austin, and then when I had this editing deadline, and Heidi was growing frustrated because he wanted to watch it. I read the Mark Miller book, and I kind of, Jupiter's Legacy, then Jupiter's Children. There's multiple Jupiter's books, and so I knew what was in store, but Heidi really wanted to watch it. I just didn't have the time, and I started finally getting the time on Saturday. We watched the first 3 episodes. There's a little bit of funkiness going on because Stephen DeKnight, who produced some of the Daredevil series for Netflix and he also did, what was the gladiatorial show? Spartacus. He did some of the Spartacus stuff. Stephen DeKnight did the first 2 episodes of Jupiter's Legacy and then I guess left the show. And so a producer took over for the final 4 episodes of this show on Netflix. And the first 2 are good. I like the first 2 episodes. I think they're fairly good. But then when episode 3 rolls around, and that's as far as I've watched so far, it's definitely a little bit of a stylistic change, but it got. I kind of felt like it hit its groove.
Okay.
And Bolt T says, I actually liked the comic and want to watch it. I liked the comic as well. I think that, the first 2 episodes have some obvious choices. It feels like it's taking tone and, some informed tone from like stuff like Justice League and stuff that we've seen before. It's not really doing its own thing quite yet. The story is, because it's following the comic pretty closely. But I think that stylistically and visually, it really hits its groove, and tonally, it hits its groove in episode 3. And so, for anybody who watches it and watches the first 2 episodes, and are like, it's a little too much like stuff I've seen before. When you get to episode 3, you're really going to start buying in and getting into the groove of it. But I'm glad that the spoilers are not out there, from what I can tell, because I'm also glad with like Invincible that stuff didn't happen. But Invincible was week to week.
Yeah, I was going to ask about how did I feel like we didn't really. You haven't really talked about it too much, but I went from being kind of lukewarm to the show to absolutely loving it by the end. Like, I thought Invincible was incredible.
Invincible is incredible.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm glad that I conned Heidi into watching it by being like, just continue. I hounded Katie online until she'd watch it. I'm glad you watched it. And then like Jupiter's Legacy is only like 6 episodes, and I hope they continue with it because it's a bigger story. But y'all haven't seen it. Geekscape is. I think Ian Kerner and I should sit down and do like an Invincible like episode, a Jupiter's Legacy episode, and of course we have Loki coming in early June along with this one that I love so much, and that would be let me just pull it up here on the screen. Sorry, podcast listeners.
While you're getting that pulled up.
I'm the fastest.
I was gonna say I really loved Invincible.
That would be that would be Sweet Tooth.
2 more seasons of Invincible already renewed for 2 more seasons as well.
Understandably so, yeah.
So Sweet Tooth is coming out in early June too, so we're not going to be shy of things to talk about here on Geekscape between Loki, Sweet Tooth, and wrapping up Invincible and Jupiter's Legacy.
And if you're also into that fantasy thing, hit up Bingetown TV. They're doing Shadow and Bone right now, which was also really good.
That's excellent as well. Yeah, there's been hit after hit recently.
I gotta watch that Shadow and Bone. That's on Netflix, or that's on HBO Plus.
Originally.
Netflix.
Netflix. I was a little upset at first because based on the name, I was like, "Is this finally the Bone adaptation that I've been waiting for?"
I don't know if Netflix is doing. I don't know if Nickelodeon's doing that or not.
I've been, now that I finally sat down and read that whole series, I want that Bone cartoon so bad, but. I need to read Sweet Tooth now, I guess, apparently.
I finished reading Sweet Tooth like an hour ago, actually. And I've like messaging like so many people like, hey, you saw this trailer the other day, right? You should probably read the book first because it's freaking amazing. Like,
where is this one coming out on?
Netflix. Yeah.
And
I feel like it came out of nowhere because I knew it was happening. And then like 2 weeks ago, it was like June 4th coming out. Like,
here's a trailer. Enjoy.
After no news for like years, it felt like about the adaptation.
So, Derek, you said something in our group chat, but I'm curious about. Do you think so? They're dropping it on June 4th, right?
Yeah.
Do you think if Comic-Con was happening, that date would be pushed back to August, and they would have made the announcement as a surprise, like right there at Comic-Con?
I don't think so. Because I think that a lot of the big Comic-Con stuff, like this is a small, I think it's going to be like a small series for a certain niche. It's not like stuff like Jupiter's Legacy would have been pushed mad at Comic-Con, for instance. And I think that something like Sweet Tooth would have flown under the radar.
That said, I think Sweet Tooth would have given you free food, though.
Well, like I think that they would have done. I could have had like a hybrid burger or something like that, and like something. They would have done something really creative with the food menu.
Because they went all out for the Tick. I mean,
yeah.
Sweet Tooth, I feel like, is as known, if not slightly more known than the Tick.
Are you joking?
No, the Tick had several iterations that were successful, from a cartoon to the Patrick Warburton version.
Yeah, like how long ago?
That's right.
And how long has the Tick been around for? Like,
I disagree with Derek that Sweet Tooth would have gone under the radar. I think they definitely would have done an installation because it's Netflix, but it would have been in conjunction with Netflix's other offerings. Like what was it? The
Shadow Mode and Jupiter.
Like Starz will do those booths where you like walk through a tiny piece of each thing, but the whole thing is like quite small. Like it wouldn't have had like a Expanse or like a Carnival Row sized installation or
They
anything
definitely
like
would have
that.
done their own panels.
It's so
like,
wild that Carnival Row had as much stuff as it did.
I think it's going to continue. I think we're going to get more Carnival Row. I believe.
Yeah, it was renewed. It was renewed. They announced at the premiere at Comic-Con that it was renewed. But
when these shows get renewed, Derek, does your stomach grumble? Like, what happens, like internally, knowing that there's free food at Comic-Con every time that they invite you to one of these things?
I generally and genuinely I appreciate the free food, but I tend to go to the offsites and go to the events of the properties that I'm most interested in. So it's not only the food. The food is just like icing on top of the already very thick cake. Like to get to see stuff like to get to see stuff like Carnival Row or The Boys or whatever, like a month or 2 months before they drop, and that sort of stuff is like
my
can
favorite.
you share some of that stuff with Katie next summer? Like maybe just share.
I can't wait. I can't. I love
definitely,
man. Like all, I will absolutely go to all the different installations, and I'm always down for free food.
Right?
Matt and I will take care of the food.
We could just do like a whole food themed tour, and we just won't even talk about what we're experiencing or how the shows we're watching are. Like let's just review the menu.
Yep.
I really like when they craft like the drinks and the food titles based on the show, like that cleverness,
and how much I understand about the show from that type of
we could just talk about that. And
what can I infer about this that I haven't seen?
What if we do a blind taste test where y'all are both blindfolded and you have to guess what show it's tied into just by eating the food?
Yeah. I think we've got a lot of great content for the Geekscape YouTube channel.
Then we treat you like Shane and you take the blindfold off and there's just a porn star in front of you.
I was going to say, I don't know why this just popped up into my memory, but one of my favorite Derek going to a San Diego Comic-Con installation thing was when you really thought you were going to get to play a video game with Xavier Woods from the New Day, and then at the 0 hour, like a 10-year-old showed up wearing a New Day shirt, and you're just like, oh no.
It wasn't playing a video game. It was it was a Rocket League anniversary party, and the New Day was there, and they had this like weird game of like real life soccer where you stand inside of like an inflatable ball and like you're running around and like bumping into each other to like get them away from get the other team away from the ball. And we were like, I had signed the release and we were like standing there chatting and we were about to suit up because they were just waiting for the other like the previous game to finish up. And then there's like a little kid there that had a New Day shirt and he was so excited, and unlike Carlos, they were just like, I think we're going to get this kid in there instead. But unlike, I think that I would have given up that opportunity anyways, just because.
You say that now. You say that now, and it got taken away from you.
Right. Yeah. The choice is made for you, Derek.
Be like, I'm the release, so we should probably just go ahead with this, right?
Carlos would have definitely kicked that kid into a wall.
Or sold him his spot,
or been like, "Hey, it's $50 if you want to go do this."
Yeah,
I just like that they put a kid and then like probably took kid probably got injured, but
I mean, he signed the waiver, so it's fine.
Not their problem.
Yeah, no.
Nope.
So
best way to learn about contracts, kid.
I have one more question about Sweeth Tooth, actually, because you said that you finished it.
I did.
Are they still printing issues?
No, it was only
new miniseries.
It's a new 6-issue miniseries, but this adaptation and the original run was only 40 issues, so it's like not a huge read. In the first place, it's split into 3 hardcover, like a collection of 3 hardcovers. It's super interesting because I feel like every piece of footage we've seen, it's just been 2 trailers so far and a featurette. That's all we've really seen from it. But it looks so whimsical from and so bright from all of the footage we've seen, and I feel like it's definitely a tonal shift from the book.
I think it'll get there, Derek. I think that some of the stuff in the book that is dark, when you start to see some of the things that humanity is like capable of, because humankind is definitely the bad guy for the most part in this, because it's post some disease. So there's a pandemic and animal human hybrids are starting to come about, and they are blamed for the downfall of mankind. So we have this post-apocalyptic landscape and this kid who's a hybrid and he's being hunted by humans. And when you start to get to some of the stuff in the book where there's you start to see how cruel some of the humans have been to hybrids, it can probably get heartbreaking. I don't think we're getting it in the trailer. I think we're going to get it in the series. And then the 6-issue miniseries that's going on right now, there's 1 or 2 issues left to publish, is about a time that takes place several years after the events that you're going to see in the Netflix series. But it's gonna be good, man. Because
I've been seeing, I was texting you. You convinced me to start reading Stray Dogs and Crossover. So I've been going to a comic book shop and I've been seeing Sweet Tooth on the shelf. So I was like, oh, I guess this is still running. So I was confused when Derek said that he had finished.
They just probably put, it would be the Sweet Tooth, The Return, I think is what it's called.
Gotcha.
If the tone, because one thing I watched the featurette today and it had Robert Downey Jr. and his wife, who executive produced the series. Her name eludes me, so I apologize. She's just not Iron Man, so I don't.
Oh no!
They talk
Everybody
about
on Geekscape Games is terrible.
Yeah, can we rewind that? We'll edit this out. They actually talk about like making it a bit of a lighter tone as well, which I don't necessarily think is a problem. But she talks about like sitting down with your family to watch it, and I was like, reading the book, I'm like, I would not want to, like, if I had a family, I would not want them to be any part of this experience that I'm having right now, unless they were of an appropriate age, at which point they probably wouldn't live with me anymore, because this is not for children at all.
Ooh,
you definitely see hybrid children getting kidnapped, and I'm guessing that you'll see remains of people because it's post-apocalyptic. You'll probably see remains of humans or hybrids.
And it's not even the like visuals or the gore. Like it's so and I think largely it's a story about hope and about overcoming these insane obstacles. But there is so much heartbreak and so many like just incredibly depressing moments and choices that the characters make in this book as well.
This is perfect for Netflix. They'll bill it as a comedy.
Yeah.
And cancel it when they're half done telling the story.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to watch. I'm okay. So now that like my big gig is done, there's always the next gig. There's always stuff to work on here at Geekscape Inc. Not an actual company, but we are an S corp. But I just really want to catch up on. I can't wait I gotta clean my plate because we got Jupiter's Legacy. I gotta go watch that Bone series because I heard way too much great stuff about it, and then I gotta set the deck for Sweet Tooth and Loki because damn, that stuff's gonna be really good.
Very excited for Loki coming up.
I'm watching Hannibal for the first time because I totally missed out on that, and that's dropping off of Netflix on June 4th. So
good to know.
It's been on your to watch list, that might be one to bump up there because you got like 2 more weeks.
It's already streaming elsewhere in the States. I think it might be on. I can't remember if it's Peacock or where it is, but it's either already streaming elsewhere or it's jumping directly somewhere else. So it's not going away forever.
I'll never get to it in time. But Andy Rattinger definitely says Hannibal rules.
John, I will tell you that, I mean, I've seen some shit, right?
Yeah, you watch some pretty bad horror movies or some pretty gruesome things. Yeah.
There have been like 8 things in Hannibal so far where I thought I was going to vomit while watching it. And I'm like, this was on NBC or something. Like,
Matt, to be fair, I once invited you to do Hill repeats and you vomited. So
that's
I don't think it's necessarily just
like first season. There's literally the first season has an episode where the serial killer is turning people into human instruments by ripping out their vocal cords and turning them into strings.
That sounds like unreal. I'm into. I've never seen Hannibal. I have until June 4th, is what you're saying?
Yeah, get on that.
And so there's like a Dexter vibe where Hannibal's a little bit of a good guy going after monsters.
No, so it's a prequel to like Red Dragon.
Sure.
So you're following the main character from Red Dragon back when Hannibal was just a psychiatrist that worked with the police department.
Okay.
So he's basically copying every time that they capture a killer, Hannibal starts copying their style to make them think that they caught the wrong person because he has all the insider information on it.
That sounds like a total roller coaster of emotions.
It's so fucking good.
Wow.
And it's Brian Fuller, who like
Yeah.
I literally think has never made a bad television show.
I think
yeah.
there's 3 seasons, right? And I
Yeah.
think that like every 4 months they're like, maybe we'll do another one. Like it's still today, like it ended so many years ago, and they're still like, oh, we're talking about it.
I love Mads Mikkelsen. I know that he has
He's
a new
great.
movie out that it was recommended to me. I will watch it. We just have to find the time to watch it because again, we keep ourselves busy here at Geekscape Incorporated. Bolt T, kicking back to the hybrid animal conversation, has a suggestion. He says, "You know what? He went ahead and assigned us animal hybrids.
Ooh.
Jonathan is a hyena, I guess. Matt is an alpaca. Katie is a cat, and Derek is a corgi. I think because you're looking fluffy here, Derek. We got, with the hair and the beard.
Yeah, we're still like raging pandemic over in Canada, so I am I don't leave the house, and I'm scared of the hairdresser at this point. So any haircuts I've had have been from Michaela, who is not a hairdresser, so I kind of stopped getting them.
Well, hopefully
Matt-
we're sending you some of those vaccines as of today's announcement.
Matt,
Yes,
would you be a alpaca? I think you're more capybara as far as I'm concerned. The Brazilian.
I was thinking
rodent.
chupacabra.
Chupacabra. We got that. Katie, are you okay being a cat?
I love cats.
okay.
They're great. I just I feel like once people see me in a live show, they're gonna be like, nah, giraffe all the way. I am deceptively not short.
That's a tall glass of water we got there.
Very tall person. It's funny because I finally met one of my coworkers from the Go game in person, and they're like, "Holy cow, you are tall!" Did not know it. They thought I was like 5'4" or something. I'm like, "No, I'm sorry."
Andy
Gonna shatter
Ratner
that right now.
is saying that you're a lynx. Then
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Cat with
an Atari
ears.
lynx, but you're an Atari lynx. Yeah,
Huh.
you're a very unsupported short run video game system that was technically very impressive.
At least give me the Famicom.
No, you get Ninja Gaiden, and that's what you get. I liked the Atari Lynx, and we could battle about the non-Nintendo portable gaming systems anytime you want, because I have a soft place in my heart for the Atari Lynx and some of those gaming systems.
I still have my
And Matt
Neo
probably
Geo
has the
Pocket
adapter.
Color.
Ooh.
Maybe that's an episode of Geekscape Games, everybody. Derek, you've been doing a great job. I loved hearing you and Michaela talk about Song
She
of
would
the
just leave me in a
CD and all
second
that
if
stuff.
the opportunity was. Yeah.
Derek
For
is
who?
back in full force. He's doing the Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, you guys, the
podcast.
peer pressure. I finally gave in, so
You're doing
you have one
great.
less thing to make.
I
fun of me
get
for
so
now.
excited when I wake up and Friday morning there's either an Xbox Game Passenger or a Geekscape Games waiting for me. It's a good feeling.
I love it. And Katie, we'll get you your own podcast, but till then, this is your podcast.
I need to make some connections so that Katie can go visit 91 Donkey Lane, because I want to
I'm
listen to that episode so bad.
The hilarity that
I'm
will ensue. But Matt's been hinting at it. We're talking about developing some things for our Twitch channel and our YouTube channel to keep those things active. Obviously, anybody on the podcast network is welcome to use those as platforms for their hilarity and their personalities and as their homes, because that's what we've built. Geekscapists, I want to thank you for listening to this episode or watching it live. Matt, we don't have any more news other than to get them to go subscribe to Geekscape and the Geekscape network shows on all their podcasts.
Yeah,
correct?
Pretty much. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already. Subscribe to the Twitch if you haven't already. And then, just search Geekscape on any podcasting device and you'll get a whole lot of shows. Just a whole lot of them.
And Andy just asked, Katie, are those Legos behind you? You could do a Lego podcast, to which I say, Andy, go back and listen to the whole episode, because we went big on all the stuff that Katie
There's
has
a lot of
behind her.
Legos.
Yeah,
There's a lot
yeah.
of Legos.
Yep.
There's a lot.
And,
might be
yeah,
a
Interesting
YouTube
audio
show.
content.
Go ahead and just buy me that Lego Daily Bugle while you're at it.
Oh my gosh.
Geekscapists. No, I don't need
Right.
anything. I do not need anything, and I do not have room for all that.
That could be our post-pandemic experience together. Like Derek and I
We
will
all
fly
build-
out to LA and we'll all build the Daily Bugle together.
Oh my gosh, that would be the best day.
Yes!
That'd be amazing. And Derek would be like, "Where's the free food?"
just
It's all
take me
Lego
to In and
food.
Out before and after. And I'll be
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
We can do that.
Oh,
We can do that. Geekscapists, we're a family, and I hope you enjoyed being a part of this family for the last hour. Again, our hearts go out to Sarah Goodwin and the late Chris Ellis, a Geekscapist who left us way too soon. We love you, Chris. We will carry your memory forward. And we're organizing a blood drive in your name, and we'll continue to do things in your name. That's what Geekscape's about. We don't hate, we create. Sometimes we hate a little bit. Carlos Lopez definitely was hating on that little kid. He oversold some Pokemon cards too, but that's over on Geekscape Games. You're going to need to subscribe to that to get that horrifying story of moral decay. But Geekscape, we're here ideally every week if Jonathan doesn't have crazy deadlines or is traveling, but we'll be here next week, and we'll bring you some more movies, video games, comics, and all that stuff. If you have anything you need, email me at jonathan@geekscape.net. For everything else, find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, subscribe to those channels like Twitch, and you'll get more from us. For Matt, Derek, Katie, and myself, thank you. Geekscape forever. Don't hate, create.
Bye.
Over and out, everybody. Bye.